visualizing, teaching ourselves how to relax using what's called GSR machines, galvanic skin response systems. And they're still available on Amazon. You can use them for training yourself to meditate. The body, the brain, the nervous system, it all regulates unconsciously through these mirror neurons. And this is part of basically our default mode network. But the reality is that we need fats. We don't need Lay's potato chips. We need good fats like avocados and,
Nuts,
essential
olive
fats.
oil. Yep.
Yes.
Welcome, everyone, to the Rise Up For You podcast. This is your host, Nada Lena Nasserdeen. Today, I'm very excited because we have yet again another amazing guest with us, Dr. Patrick Porter. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Absolutely. I'm very excited about our conversation, as I was mentioning off air, because today we're going to talk about the brain, the importance of the brain, and we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive into some behaviors and patterns that we can help support the brain and support us as a human and performance. But before we jump into that, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and how you got to where you are today.
Okay, well, let's go back in time a little bit. My dad was a chronic alcoholic. He got help from the church. They came in and said, Michael, we're going to help you to get off alcohol by teaching you how to meditate. Well, my dad thought they were crazy, but he learned a process called the Silva method. And when he learned that, he became an instructor, and then he became a psychologist. Basically, one night of learning that he was drinking, not to get high, but to get relaxed. And he found a better way to relax. And it changed the whole trajectory of our family. There were 9 kids. None of us have a drinking problem because he started that day. We all started doing something with our mind, visualizing, teaching ourselves how to relax using what's called GSR machines, galvanic skin response systems. And they're still available on Amazon. You can use them for training yourself to meditate. But what we did is in 86, I was a part of a group of 6 people. We invented the very first personal light and sound machine. Now, what that means is our brain, where we're sitting here right now, you have mirror neurons. Those mirror neurons are evaluating your environment, and you're either entrained with it or out of entrainment. That, like when you meet somebody for the first time, you go, I really like that person. I don't know why, but they had a good vibe or they had a bad vibe. Your cells are always vibrating and tuning in. So what we know through something called frequency following response is that the body, the brain, the nervous system, it all regulates unconsciously through these mirror neurons. And this is part of basically our default mode network. So we don't have to think about it. It's done through our subconscious, but we can train that by using light, sound, and vibration. So I've been in this field since 1986 in teaching people first how to eliminate pain without pharmaceutical drug intervention. And now we have, we're all over the world. And I just got a report from India. We're doing research in India, Brazil, Spain, Italy, United States, and we showed how performance in sleep improves. So, we can go the full gamut because most importantly, what's important for the listener to understand is that neuroscience is now sounding more and more like a spiritual text than it is a science text, because we're finding out that we're not these physical bodies that we think we are. There's something called the electron transport chain, which is how we convert light, sound, and vibration into energy in the brain. And so our lifestyles, unfortunately, are counterintuitive to that. The foods we eat, the lifestyles we live, the devices we use, they all are stopping our energy. So when you think about where we're at now, where I've been is we're trying to improve people's lives through psychology and helping them to get better thoughts so they have better lives. Now we're talking about physiology, because you can't have good psychology without good physiology. You got to have the body moving and breathing and functioning.
Yeah. So let's dive. Oh, there's so much to talk about here. So let's dive into this a little bit more, starting at the first step, which is what's impacting us today. We call it the fuzzy. We have something called the fuzzy 4 here at Rise Up For You, where we talk about these external forces that actually make your brain and your cognitive behaviors and patterns fuzzy, right? Like food, what we watch, what we hear, people's energy. There's other stuff. And then, I'm a big fan, of course, of physiology as well, because what you create in the emotion that you create in your body also supports the mindset. But let's go back a minute and talk about, the things that are impacting us today and our brain and our ability to be present, right? To use the brain at the full capacity that we can. What are you seeing? What's happening?
Yeah. Well, number one is you cannot think a bad diet. You have to have good food. I always tell people when they say, what should I look for in packaging? I said, look for God's packaging. It has no labels. It doesn't have ingredients you can't read.
True, yeah.
If you have to unwrap it, you probably can't digest it. So the thing is, we need to be eating more closer to the farm than we are. And think of enzymes. It's all about energy. So if you eat a meal and you feel down, don't eat that meal again. It's that simple. You got to start tuning in. So food is number one. Number two is you got to move and breathe. Our body is designed for movement. If we're not moving our body, it's a use it or lose it scenario. The reason I have a book I'm writing right now, my wife doesn't like the title. I'm calling it Getting Old Isn't for Sissies. But the thing is that I'm 64 years old. I can do more push-ups, more setups. I can do all these things because I'm not a sissy. I'm working out. We're all involved in something called the game. We're part of the human race, right? You woke up this morning, you didn't know you're going to have to run the 100-yard dash. And you go, what do you mean I have to run the 100-yard dash? I didn't train for it.
Yeah.
You knew what you were going to do. So we got to get our body moving. We got to lift weights. We got to get our muscles growing. This is very important. And number three, we need recovery. Most people think they need to do more, learn more, experience more. No, you need to settle down, relax. And there's 3 times a day you need to do this. If you want optimum brain function, first thing in the morning, what you need to do is drink a large glass of water with salt water. You're a battery. Think of your brain all night long. Your brain is doing this. It's going in and out, and cerebral spinal fluid is washing over it. Now, if you reach level 4 sleep, which unfortunately, I know you probably get it, but most of your listeners don't, they don't get enough deep level 4 sleep.
What does that mean for the listener?
Level 4 sleep means if you ever had sleep paralysis where you woke up but you couldn't move your body. Yeah, everyone usually has that sometime in their life. That's when your body's offline. It's like you're at the Ford Motor plant and they want to clean the line. They're not going to keep building Model Ts. They're going to stop the line. So your body basically shuts down. Your nervous system, the glia cells. Think of this in this way. We're at a party and we're shaking everybody's hands. We're talking to them. We're little glia cells in our brain talking to everybody. Well, at the end of the night, we want to wash our hands, right? Because we touched everybody's hands.
Yeah.
Well, if we don't get that level 4 sleep, we never wash our hands. That means we continue to take, when Deepak Chopra says 97% of what we know about what we're going to do tomorrow, we know about today, and 60% of the thoughts we have today, we had 3 months ago. That's because we're not washing off the glia cells. So we're carrying, my first book, I call them the dragons of the past. We drag our past on and on and on because we didn't disconnect it. Like all those negative experiences, all those traumas, all those things don't serve us. So, but at night, if we reach level 4 sleep, our brain consolidates those memories. It says, what's most meaningful? What's important to Nada? What do you need to learn about today so you can have a better tomorrow? Where do you want to go learn and develop? Who's meaningful in your life? Who do you want to connect with? Your brain's doing all of that. In fact, science now shows we do more neurological work while we're sleeping than when we're awake. And so I tell people, you're smarter when you're sleeping, so go to sleep, because when we're sleeping, if you don't get good sleep, your brain will force your body to detoxify while you're awake. And that becomes a very bad scenario. It becomes headaches, cloudy thinking, all the negative side effects of a toxic brain. There's only 4 reasons your brain isn't functioning right.
Yeah.
It's either thoughts, traumas, toxins, or technology. So when you think about all those things, so when I said reboot, so in the morning, you have to reboot. Now I'm going to give all the listeners a way to do it without BrainTap because I invented a technology that does it, but I want to give them a way to do it. They don't have to buy my device. What you want to do is get up in the morning and do something called a psychological breath. Now you want to do this in your bedroom because people might think you're crazy. So what you do is you breathe in, you go, you breathe in as deep as possible. You just let it out. You've probably been around somebody where you're in the middle of a discussion. Somebody goes, they just let out a sigh. Well, it's our body's natural defense mechanism. That sigh, and cats and dogs do this too. They shake, right? They shake things off. It's not just a Taylor Swift song, shake it off. Our nervous system, we got to shake it off. But in the morning, what that does is it builds up cortisol, norepinephrine, dopamine. These are the neurotransmitters we need in the morning. We should be a little stressed in the morning.
So okay, I hear you, and I'm a fan of it, and I get great sleep. I get deep sleep, and I do all these things. I do igniting in the morning with physically and whatnot.
Yeah.
What do you say to the professional or the individual listening that says, Patrick, I got too much going on. I'm too busy. I work from 9 to 5. I sit in my chair and then I go home and I take care of my kids. And then I don't get good sleep because they wake me up and I can't do all of these things for my brain.
Okay, I got a great one for that. We have a study we did with Julia Arndt, a peak performance study with Googlers and Microsoft programmers. These were the top 1%. And they contacted me and they said, how can we stop burnout? I said, do a BrainTap session at 2:00 in the afternoon. They said, why 2:00 in the afternoon? I said, because every person on earth at 2:00 in your time zone, your biology, you drop 2 degrees. Most people the queen didn't just come up with tea time. She wanted a stimulant, so people get tea at that time. But But the reality is that our body is cyclic. And we're the only, in the history of time, we're the only generation that works past 2 o'clock. We shouldn't be working past 2 o'clock. We work too hard, too long, and we don't get anything done. So what we did at Google and Microsoft is we proved to them on the days they did a BrainTap session, 20 minutes, they got 26% more work done, which meant they got 1.25 days worth of work done more by taking a 20-minute break. It's counterintuitive. People don't understand that some people think they're working, but they're not working. Their brain's spinning, but it's like a washing machine. It's doing a lot of work, but it's not
Not
going
effective. Yeah, it's not effective. Yeah. That I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And the sad reality is that in today's world, I would say that there's more that is again making our brain fuzzy that
anywhere.
we are attracted to than the opposite, right? So
Right.
again, like the social media, what we watch, what we see, what we hear, the food that we put into our body, people's energy, right? Even
Yes.
somebody's energy and how they show up. It's so interesting. I was sleeping last night and my husband was watching a TV show, a documentary, and the documentary was like about murder. And I
Ooh.
was like deep sleep and I heard, I don't know what I heard, but I heard something about a knife and murder. And I woke up and I was like, well, like, what's like, this is impacting my
Yes,
brain.
it is impacting you. Definitely. Whatever you listen to, we've all had that experience. I usually tell this in my talks. We've all had the experience. We're sitting on the couch watching TV. We fall asleep to a war movie. Then we find ourselves in the war.
Yeah.
That whatever you listen to 2 hours before sleep, that 2 hours is sacred. You should never listen to or watch any Stephen King murder mysteries. Those, because your brain is going to try to figure out when you're watching that movie, your brain, neuroscience will tell you, your brain is trying to figure out who are you in that movie? Are you the one killing them? Or are you the one being killed? Because you have to choose.
Yeah.
And it's neither is good.
Yeah.
So don't watch it.
Yeah.
There's another 500 channels.
Yeah.
It's better to watch nothing or to listen to some Baroque classical music that puts you in 10 cycles or something.
I like that you said Baroque. That's a classical time period for all
Yeah.
of our music lovers out there.
Well,
So
they've proven that they call it the Mozart effect, that you actually
Yeah.
get smarter when you listen to that music.
yeah.
Let me ask you something. What if you had world-class leadership and confidence training available 24/7, right at your fingertips? That's what we've created with the Rise Up For You Success Academy. So for less than $1,000 a year, you'll find hundreds of on-demand training videos, live group coaching every month, exclusive assessments, one-to-one coaching, and tools designed to help you grow your confidence, sharpen your leadership, improve how you communicate, business strategy, and so much more. So whether you're an individual looking to accelerate your career or your business, or maybe you're a company that wants to invest in your people, the Success Academy is your professional growth hub. Don't wait until the next opportunity passes you by. Join us today at riseupforyou.com. Head to our academy and unlock your next level of success.
So tell us, I love this conversation and we could definitely talk for hours and hours. You already gave us some strategies, but what are some other things that we can do to train our brain to try to get into an optimal state that you think, like, let's say an executive and an abundant professional can implement on a daily basis?
Sure. Before you go into that big meeting, one thing you can do is you do what we call box breath. Now, think of yourself as a Navy SEAL. The Navy SEALs are all taught this, all special forces. In fact, we're deployed with some special forces in South Africa right now. It's really easy to do. You breathe into the count of 4, you hold to the count of 4. You breathe out to the count of 4, you hold it out to the count of 4. Imagine a box and you just continue that process for 2 to 3 minutes. What will happen is it will re-regulate your nervous system. It will put you into a sympathetic parasympathetic balance. And that's what you want. Think of it like a Tai Chi master. You don't want to be too sympathetic or too parasympathetic, meaning you don't want to be too fearful or too overexcited. You want to be just in the middle. You want to be calm, relaxed, willing to do whatever needs to be done at that moment. So from your center, you can act.
Yeah.
That's one way. The other is if you do have, if you at your meal times, one way to, if an executive is worried about their executive functioning in that, they've proven that if you can replace your salad dressing, this is just a little tip I usually give on radio shows, is just replace your salad dressing with olive oil, real olive oil now, not just, you got to make sure it's real. And you put Italian seasoning on it and salt and pepper. That's going to lower your risk of Alzheimer's by 40%. 40% just by using 1 tablespoon of olive oil a day. We need essential oils. So think of oils as energy for the brain. It makes ketones, which your brain needs. So as a leader, most people eat like, I love that Kennedy just changed our food pyramid down here. He flipped it on
Me
its
too. Me
head
too.
because
Yep.
it's so true, and that people are like scratching their heads, what's going on? But the reality is that we need fats. We don't need Lay's potato chips. We need good fats like avocados and,
Nuts,
essential
olive
fats.
oil. Yep. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if they can get more of that into their diet, and we don't need to eat as much as we think. A lot of people, especially here in America, we ask somebody, is that a good restaurant? Yeah, they give you all you can eat. Well, I didn't ask if they give you all you can eat. Is it good food? So many people measure our stomach for a leader, think in terms of your stomach is the size of your fist. So when you fill it up, you can't wage war, or when you think of or anything in business on an overfull stomach, it's going to
It
too much.
slows me down.
Yes.
For me, it slows me down. I typically eat maybe one meal, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Not for any other reason other than what you're stating, which is like I actually get fuzzy and I feel less productive and not efficient. But if I have like a nice hearty meal, then I feel like a machine.
Right. Right. In India, they say eat 3 meals, be sick, eat 2 meals, be well, eat 1 meal, be in excellent health, because they call it the warrior diet, eating 1 meal a day, because if you think about our ancestors, we didn't have 7-Elevens on every corner or convenience stores we could just go to. I mean, we had to go hunt and gather. We had to go get our food, and then we would celebrate with the tribe, bring back whatever we found for the rest of the community.
Yeah, absolutely. Patrick, this is awesome. And I'm glad that we were able to just provide some light golden nuggets to our team and to the listeners. What I would love for you to do is just tell us a little bit about BrainTap, because I know you're the inventor of BrainTap and you've been talking about it, but can you just give us a little bit more deep dive on it?
Sure. We now know that light energy, I talked about it earlier, the electron transport chain, that we can bring light into the brain through the eyes and the ears. The eyes are closed, but we use flashing lights to regulate the brain frequencies. And we use sound to modulate those frequencies and balance the brain. So whether it's stress, anxiety, or sleep, whatever's going on with you, we probably have a solution for you. And what we offer, if they want to go over to braintap.com, is a free 14-day trial. I mean, that's the best way. Trial it for yourself. And if you have a device like an Oura Ring or an Apple Watch, I encourage you to look at your sleep, because the reports we get back are 90% of the people have their best night's sleep during their 14-day trial. Wow. Not even with our headset. The headset adds light. So what light does is our cells have something called chromophores. These are little batteries that absorb light, sound, and vibration, and they take it into the cell, and it starts the mitochondria. And then that mitochondria broadcasts information packets out to the body. That's how instruction sets, if you will. And so, but without energy, the cells can't do that. So what we do is we're going to bring that energy right to the brain through the ears, because there's lights in our headset. So when they go to the website, braintap.com, they can read all about it. They can sign up for the free trial. They won't be charged. If they don't like it, just cancel within 14 days, and there'll be no cost.
And we'll make sure we put that in the show notes as well, Patrick. Thank you so much for that. Patrick, I would love to jump into the rapid fire question part of the podcast. The first question is, if you were to leave the world with one final message, we call it our golden nugget, what would that golden nugget be?
You're far greater than you've been led to believe, and you're far more capable than others have told you about.
I love that. And as you know, here at Rise Up For You, our main focus is soft skills. And so what would you say, how has soft skills supported you in your success in your lifetime?
Well, I think the one thing is looking through the lens of the person I'm communicating with. My dad always told me, you have 2 eyes, you have 1 mouth and 2 ears. Listen twice as much as you talk. And so I think listening skills and just being present with people is one of the skills that I love that. I love listening to people. I am my own personal podcast. I love interviewing people and listening to their wisdom and their knowledge.
I love that. And before I jump into my final question, I know you mentioned braintap.com, but is there anything else you want to share with our listener of how they can reach out to you, LinkedIn, Instagram, anything of that sort?
Yeah, if they can look me up personally at Dr. Patrick Porter, Dr. Patrick Porter. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, all those places. And there's a lot of videos of things that I've done. I travel all over the world. I was just got back from India. We're doing a lot with the Indian groups over there. So
fantastic. Well, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show. Final question. As you know, we're Rise Up For You. What does that mean for you when you hear hear that phrase?
Well, that means that all boats rise with tides. So as we rise, we bring everyone with us, man. Nobody leaves this place. I always tell people nobody leaves this place alive. So let's rise together and get out of here.
Yeah.
That's the way it works.
Yeah, fantastic. Patrick, it's truly been a pleasure to have you on our show. Thank you for joining us today.
Okay, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you everyone for joining the Rise Up For You podcast. Every single week, we are bringing you brand new episodes with experts, thought leaders, executives from around the world that show up to serve you, to help you be your absolute best. Thanks again for joining our podcast, and I will see you next time. Dr. Porter, Patrick, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for joining us today on the Rise Up For You podcast. Every episode is designed to give you practical tools and strategies on success, entrepreneurship, leadership, and so much more. The skills that actually help you be seen, be heard, and be relevant. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and any podcast platform, your favorite, so that you can catch weekly episodes with the leaders, entrepreneurs, and executives from around the world. We're all coming together for one reason and one reason only, and that is to help you be the best that you can be. Click the subscribe button below and share this episode. I'll see you next time.